Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. It is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, my international friends, gather around the virtual water coolers. We talk about our favorite things in the world, movies, movie news, television. Not doing it live today. This is a pre-recorded show today because for whatever reason, YouTube was not accepting live connections earlier this morning. So surprise, surprise. So we are doing the show pre-recorded, but don't worry, we still got all of our stuff that we're going to be talking about here today. And it is Thursday, which means, of course, I'm joined by a couple people in studio, starting off with Erin Cummings. Erin, how are you doing?
Good morning, everyone. Or good afternoon if you're watching a little bit later. I am doing great. Joey Bishop is here, getting all the belly rubs.
Adoringly, she looks at you. It's so crazy.
Hello, my love.
I love that dog.
Hello,
okay.
my love.
Anyway, also joining us here on this Thursday, of course, is Chris Carr. Chris, how are you?
I'm great. Happy Galentine's Day to everyone who's a Parks and Rec fan. February 13th is Galentine's Day.
That is the very first thing, I kid you not, that is the very first thing that Anne said this morning. When I look up, is that it's Happy Galentine's Day, it's Galentine's Day, which is a Parks and Rec thing.
Right. Well, actually, on Tuesday, Tom woke up and lovingly rolled over and gave me a kiss and said, "Happy Valentine's Day, my love." And I was like, "What?" And he said, "I'm so sorry. Your gift, I paid for rush order on it, but it's not going to be here today. It'll be here tomorrow." And I said, "Well, that'll be wonderful because it'll still be 2 days early. Today's February 11th." And he goes, "Yes, happy Valentine's Day." I was like,
wow.
"You're such a dude. I love you so much. I love you so much."
I had a little bit of a brain freeze this morning. Anne was running around just before you got here, and she was running around going, "I can't find my phone. I can't find my phone." And I said the stupidest thing. I said, "Did you try calling it?" And she looks at me, she's like, "I'm going to give you a minute to think about that."
Well,
I'm like,
theoretically,
"Oh,
she could call it from your phone.
But I mean, I would have known that if she
I
had
feel
used
like
my
being
phone.
married is a constant game of, can you call my phone?
Yeah.
Can you call my phone?
100%.
There's a little
Yeah.
bit of that. I'm going to do something interesting tonight that I didn't think I was going to do. I'm going to go see Sonic the Hedgehog tonight.
What?
You are?
So
Yeah.
romantic.
Oh my
I
gosh.
think. Well, no, I'm not going with Anne. And first of all, I don't think I could bribe her to go.
Really?
But she's got a work party tonight. So here's the funny thing: this movie looks like hot garbage to me, and a lot of the people that I'm reading are saying it's hot garbage. But at the same time, and they didn't lift the review embargo till yesterday, the day before the movie opened.
Oh.
As of right this moment, it's got 69%, so almost 70% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is like, all right, okay.
It's shocking.
So I'm going to go see. Now, what I've heard from some people is that it's really not that good, but if you're into Sonic, you'll probably get a kick out of it if you're into Sonic. To me, if you have to be into the property in order to enjoy the movie, that says something bad about the movie. Like, people who know nothing about comic books can go watch Avengers and love Avengers. So that's one thing. But I don't know. This looked like a movie that I thought everybody would hate, that I certainly thought I would hate. But I'm seeing some decent things about. I'm going to go see it tonight. Didn't think I was going to.
Are you a Sonic? Are you interested? Are you invested in the property?
I played a little Sonic. I've played a little Sonic, but I'm not into Sonic. I don't care about Sonic. I don't care about any of that stuff. But hey, it's almost got 70%. Why not go check it out?
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to go check it out. But listen, guys, we've got a lot of topics that we're going to talk about here today. So let's not waste any time and get into them right into our main topics. And how do we select our main topics here on the John Campea Show? Well, it's really rather simple. You see, you guys come up with them by going over anytime 24/7 over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you're going to see a form, fill it out with your topic or question, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your topic or question as a main topic here on the John Campea Show. With that down, let's dive right into first topic. And the first topic today comes to us from John de Benedict, who writes, "Hey there, John. I know you were a fan of the first live-action Aladdin. I wasn't as big of a fan, but I thought it was pretty decent overall, with Will Smith making the genie his own character. He really did. Anyway, so I guess it shouldn't come as a huge surprise that apparently a second film is now in the works with Guy Ritchie attached to direct once again. What do you make of this news? Good or bad idea?" All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yes, the first Aladdin came out. A lot of people had a lot of question marks about it, especially when that first picture of Will Smith as a genie came out. Some people were questioning it, but It's hard to give context when it's just a still image. At any rate, the movie was a joyous, pleasant surprise. I really adored this movie, and it made over $1 billion. It is the highest grossing film of Will Smith's illustrious career. Now, it seemed like a no-brainer that you'd then come back and do a sequel for a movie that made $1 billion. But where do you go? You're not going to do Return of Jafar. So what do you do? But it turns out it looks like they are ready to go. It's now official. They're making the second one. This comes to us from Variety. Following the massive success of last summer's reboot, Disney is developing a follow-up to the film with writers John Gatnis and Andrea Berloff. Sources say the movie is in early development, but after spending the last 6 months figuring out what direction to take the next film, producers look to have found their path. So they have found their story. They know what this movie is going to be about, and apparently one of the things it ain't going to be about, it's not going to be Return of Jafar. So they've already kind of put that out there. It's not going to be Return of Jafar. Now, there's also a couple of contradictory reports out there. Some are saying right now that the movie is going to have Guy Ritchie back to direct. Some are saying Guy Ritchie is not yet attached to direct, but it's expected that he will be. They're also expecting that Amina Massoud, Will Smith, and Power Rangers girl.
Naomi Scott,
who rocked in that movie. They say they're all expecting that all three of the main cast will return as well, which is pretty great. How do I feel about this? Well, I'll tell you what. I feel pretty damn good. And the main reason I feel pretty damn good about it is again, because not just because I thought the first movie was solid, it was fun, it captured the DNA of the original Aladdin while making it its own. Because one of my big fears going in is that Will Smith would either make Genie something completely different or that he would try to do a cheap Robin Williams impersonation. And I don't think either one of those would work. But he really found a way to honor what the Genie was while making it his own at the same time. And I really, really like that a lot. So I'm not just thinking this is a great business move, Aaron. I am thinking this is a wonderful move as a fan. I really want to see these characters back on screen again. And it sounds like the producers have found their story. They've now got the writers on to flesh it out. So I think this is great. Aaron, you hear about this. Good idea for them to do another Aladdin? Or maybe, hey, look, you struck gold with the first one. Quit while you're ahead, or how are you feeling about it?
Well, I think the key is when you strike gold, you keep digging. I mean, maybe not, it doesn't necessarily always work out, but the thing that gives me hope for this is the possibility, since you said that it is not confirmed, only by some sources, the possibility of Guy Ritchie coming back. Guy Ritchie has never struck me as the kind of director who is going to just go in for the paycheck. He seems to have a certain degree of honor about his work and could easily say, hey, I have a lot of other projects, especially with the recent success of The Gentleman. He can easily go and work on other projects. He doesn't have to do this for a paycheck. So the fact that Guy Ritchie is potentially involved, and I really like what they said, is they are putting it right out front and center. We are not doing this just because it made $1 billion. We invested some time. We invested half a year into developing a story to make sure we have a story to tell. And I'm saying this now. I'll say it again later in the show. But if you don't have a story, you don't have a movie. And so I really like the fact that they are putting it out front and center. We've invested in a story. We have a story we want to tell, and now we're ready to move forward. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, it sounds really neat. Chris, I know you enjoyed Aladdin and you had a good time with it. What do you make of this news?
Oh, I'm so excited about this news because, as always, I know way too much about cartoons. And so I was like, oh, well, yeah, you skip Return of Jafar and you go straight to the Aladdin series. You can use Mosenrath, who is one of the most interesting villains that the series had. You go to King of Thieves and we explore Alibaba and the 40 Thieves and Aladdin having a dad who's still out in the world. There's tons and tons of things that you can still do, even with that ending. With the Genie, you can still do a lot of things there. So I'm really, really pumped about this. I really liked the direction Guy Ritchie took it. I love this cast. Logan finally watched the movie for the first time because of Disney Plus. He didn't see it with me. No, he didn't see it with me in theaters. Because I'm like you, a lot of times I'm just like, well, it's 11 and everyone's at work. I'm going to a movie, I guess. And so he finally watched it and was just going into it like, oh, this is going to suck. I don't want to watch this movie. And he was so thrilled with it. And he's not a Disney kid like me and just couldn't get over how talented and attractive that cast was. So if you're a Disney fan or not, I feel like they really struck gold here. And of course they're going to do a sequel. I think it makes a ton of sense.
I haven't seen it. So I'm going to.
It's so cute.
And I have a friend who's in it. Prince Anders.
Oh,
Prince
really? You know him?
He was one of our groomsmen. Billy Magnuson has been a friend of ours for many years. He and Tom started a band together. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, so he's a really good friend.
How have you not watched it?
I don't know. I did not have. There wasn't something pulling me to see it. It was kind of
one of your groomsmen was in it, and that wasn't enough.
Well, he's also in No Time to Die, and I'm like, maybe I'll see that.
I just went to the Dolby screening room to watch a movie that you were in yesterday.
You did.
So
well, you know what? If Billy had invited us to the premiere, then we maybe would have gone. So there you go, Billy. No, you are absolutely right. I should watch it, and I don't even know if Tom has watched it. So that is going to be Tom and I's pre-Valentine's date. You guys have turned me on.
There you go.
Turned me on to it. So
I have that effect on people.
Yes, you do, John. It is No Pens Thursdays. So we will watch it tonight, and I will give you my full thoughts on Aladdin 1. I'll let you know whether it deserved $1 billion.
Man.
Billy's always great and everything, so
it's a good thing Anne's not here, because Anne would just insist that like you and Tom come over and watch it, because Anne
we can do
loves
that
this
too.
movie way more than I do.
Really?
I mean, she's crazy about this movie. And Naomi Scott, who I liked Naomi Scott before this movie, but it was in this movie that I just went, wow.
Yeah.
Like, because there's a scene there in the Whole New World number. It's like the kid, Mina Massoud, who they got to play Aladdin, who I thought was very good. And hey, the kid can sing, right? So you get to the song A Whole New World. Of course, that's the one. Aladdin starts singing that song, right? I can show you the world.
Yeah.
And he's singing it. It sounds good. It sounds good. Oh, yeah, this sounds good. And then Naomi Scott starts singing her part in it, and you're like, "Oh, that's what a singer sounds like."
Oh, that's what
a real
I thought
singer
I knew
sounds
good.
like.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love her. Anyway, guys, question is, what do you think about this? Are you hopeful for it? Do you think maybe they should have just quit while they were ahead? Are you super excited about it? How are you feeling about it? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, with that down, let's move on to our second main topic today. And our second main topic today gets sent into us by Trey Mitchell, who writes, "Hey guys, wonder if you had a chance to see the gloriousness that is the trailer for The Iron Mask with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jackie Chan. I mean, what the hell? I didn't even know such a movie existed, but I thought it must be awesome when we saw who was starring in it. But man, does it look bad, like really bad. What did you guys think about it?" All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yeah, I remember hearing about this week. Now, this movie actually came out in China in 2019.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it did. It got some kind of release in China in 2019. I think it had something of a different title. I can't remember the title off the top of my head. But it's got, I remember hearing about this like 2 years ago, that Jackie Chan, Arnold Schwarzenegger were going to appear in it. But apparently, the two of them, the movie is not about either of them. It's not their movie. And apparently they actually have very little screen time in it. From what I'm reading it and I'm understanding. But I see things like this. And I just think to myself, look, Arnold Schwarzenegger's career is not what it was a few years ago. I mean, let's be honest. It's just not. I mean, he's not the big box office draw anymore. He's still a great name, but whatever. And I get a kick out of seeing Arnold doing stuff. But he is not a draw. He doesn't carry the weight that he used to carry. But still, I see something like this, and I watch this trailer and I see him in it, and I cannot help but think to myself, did he lose a bet? No, I'm serious, because there's that infamous story where I believe Sean Connery appeared. He was the villain in Avengers, not the MCU Avengers, but the old British TV series remake Avengers, and he literally was in it because he lost a bet. And if that movie is terrible and it's awful, but he was literally. And I look at this and I think, did he lose a bet? So I mean, there's something about, I get it. It's a paycheck. You can do all that kind of stuff, but there's something about me that always want to see my heroes going down to that level. I don't know. But you're right. The trailer is terrible. I mean, worse than a cheap video game cutscene kind of stuff. I don't know. It looked really bad. Chris, I'm assuming you had a chance to watch this trailer.
A couple times.
What did you think?
Oh, what a Tombstone Pizza of a trailer. Oh my gosh, yes. I'm going to watch the crap out of this movie. It looks
on
like,
mushrooms.
Yeah. Ooh, it's going to be great. It looks so weird and so cheesy. And correct me if I'm wrong here, Arnold Schwarzenegger's playing a beefeater in the Tower of London. I mean, I want to hear his dialect work, see if that's a thing. I'm guessing it's not. But I mean,
God save the Queen.
Yeah. It looks ridiculous. And I love Jackie Chan movies, and Rutger Hauer's in this movie. I think it's one of his final performances.
No, is he?
it?
I didn't even catch
Yeah.
that. I didn't even catch that.
And so there's just a whole bunch of weird stuff going on here that makes me
Oh my God.
go, I have to
and
watch
Charles
this. I have to. What? Who else is in it, Aaron?
Charles Dance from Game of Thrones.
What?
Who we love.
Oh, I think he's like the main character of the movie, if I'm not mistaken.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I was like, I'm going to go over here and look through this. Who is it that's really the star of the movie here? Let me double.
I also straight
Jason
up-
Fleming, and I don't know how to pronounce her name. Please correct me.
Oleg Stefchenko?
No, Jing Tong Yao, the woman.
Okay.
I think it's Shi Tong Yao or Ji Tong. I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with.
It's the weirdest Leonardo DiCaprio remake I've ever seen.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Sorry, please continue.
Oh, no, I'm
Chris.
done.
Oh, you're finished. I thought that this, when I was watching it, I went, this looks really cool for a video game. Like, yeah, bad video game trailer, but still like, okay, these are some awesome graphics. But the fact that I had to keep reminding myself that it's an actual live action film and intended.
Suddenly the graphics do not look so good.
Oh, absolutely not. And you know, what it reminded me of a time pre-internet, pre-streaming, when actors would go overseas and do these commercials that were just god awful because they would be paid millions of dollars for it, and they never had to worry that anyone was going to see it. And
Not today.
No, not today. And so I wonder, was this something that was just supposed to be for the Chinese audience that Arnold Schwarzenegger was promised would never see the screens in America, and then someone somehow was like, oh, hey, guess what? Just kidding. Do we know if it did well in China?
I have no idea at this point. All I know is that
it is just absurd. And it doesn't even look like they're in the same genre. Like, I would totally be down for this movie if it was Jackie Chan and Arnold Schwarzenegger being just silly and throwing their ridiculous one-liners at each other, and that we were all in on the joke. But I feel like they're the only two people in the movie who think that this is a comedy, and everyone else is like, oh no, that's not the movie that we're making. No, we're in a different movie.
And if you notice, like, every single shot that Arnold is in, it's in the same room.
Oh yeah.
So I have a feeling. I haven't seen the movie, so I'm just going off this trailer. So I don't know, guys. Question is, have you guys had a chance to see this trailer? If so, what did you think? Maybe you're thinking, oh my God, with every ounce of my being, I must see this movie. Or I don't know how you feel about it. Jump in the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down, let's move on to our third main topic today. And our third main topic today gets submitted to us by Dylan Payton, who writes, "Greetings, John. Did you hear? It is confirmed via The Hollywood Reporter that Rick Moranis is now officially confirmed to star in Disney's Shrunk. What are your thoughts, and will his return potentially bring some people over to Disney Plus?" All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yes, for those of you who have not heard, this is what's being reported over at Deadline. Rick Moranis, the SCTV, by the way, if you guys not growing up in Canada haven't had a chance to watch the glory that is SCTV, you really must try to find a way to watch it. Anyway, alum and comedy star of such hit picks as Ghostbusters, The Flintstones, Spaceballs, and Parenthood, has closed a deal to return to the next Honey, I Shrunk the Kids sequel, Shrunk. The movie will be made for the theatrical side, not Disney Plus, which is, I think everybody's been going on the assumption that it was going to be Disney Plus. I've read reports it was going to be for Disney Plus, but apparently it's going to be for a theatrical release. Disney was trying to keep the rumors quiet that Moranis was returning, but our breaking news today is that his deal is done. I got to tell you, this is one of the most delightful and heartwarming stories I have heard today. Rick Moranis is a man. All right? This is the thing. In 1997, he decided to step away from being a movie star and from getting all the money that he was getting, all that kind of stuff. I believe it was 6 months previous or just previous to that, his wife passed away.
His wife died in 1999.
And
she was probably diagnosed and got sick in 96. And
are you sure? Because it says here, it says in the Deadline report that his wife died 6 years earlier. But at any rate, as a result of his wife's condition and ultimately passing away, he decided to step away and focus all of his attention on being a dad to his kids. And that's what he decided to do. And that's what a man does. So he put his family. You have something?
Yes, I'm sorry. I was apparently looking at that while I was not coherent. It was 91.
It was okay. So it was 6 years. So
yes,
6 years earlier to that.
Apologies.
So he just decided that it was time for him just to be a parent. Good Canadian kid. And he stepped away from it all. And he's stayed away from it, other than doing a few little voice things in some animation. He decided he didn't want to be in front of the camera anymore. He was offered most recently. They tried to lure him out for the 2016 Ghostbusters, to which he turned down, as he's turned down everything since then. But he's back. And I will tell you what, this might be right, this might be wrong, but I have gone from giving 2 squirts of urine about a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids follow-up movie to suddenly being very interested in this, just to see the triumphant return of Rick Moranis. I have been wanting, and as a film fan, I've talked over the years, whether it was on Movie Talk or whatever, over the years that I was really wishing, I want to see Mike Myers come back, and I want to see Rick Moranis come back. To me, this is a delightful story, and for him to do it in a franchise that he's clearly comfortable with, to ease himself back in. And I don't know if he's going to do any more movies after this or not. Maybe this is just a one last hurrah thing. But I love this. I love this with a passion that is hard for me to put into words. I'm so happy about this. Aaron, you hear the news about Rick coming back. What are your thoughts?
As a kid who grew up watching him, I have seen Honey, I Shrunk the Kids more times than I think any child should have. Clearly, you guys know that Spaceballs is my Star Wars, and so I'm a huge fan of him in that. And then, of course, he stole the show, as far as I'm concerned, in Ghostbusters. So I have a special place in my heart as an 80s kid growing up watching him. And to hear that he had stepped away because of his wife's passing from cancer to be a dad, to be dedicated to his children, it's sort of something that even though we all wanted him to come back selfishly, there's no denying that we can all understand and empathize and respect his decision to do that. I love the fact that he's coming back. I wouldn't even necessarily put it because it's in his comfort zone, but more so because this is what we already know him for and love him for. So I'm excited to see him come back in Shrunk. I will absolutely go see that in theaters. And I think it's an absolutely, you put it best on when you said heartwarming. This is one of those stories where you go, yeah, you're living life right, Rick Moranis. You're living life right.
Chris, you hear this. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I'm so thrilled. I adore him. I remember being a kid and going to Disney World when they still had the Honey, I Shrunk section. You could climb on Auntie and stuff, which was cool. I grew up watching him, like you guys, in Spaceballs, in Strange Brew, which is so good.
Yes. Filmed in my hometown of Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, by the way. Yep.
And then, of course, Little Shop of Horrors. He is Seymour.
Yep.
He is Seymour. So having him come back makes me so excited. And I'm also pretty excited about Shrunk in general, too, because from what I've read, Josh Gad is involved in the project as well.
He plays Rick Moranis' son.
Yeah, and really was pushing, too, to get Rick back into the franchise. And I think that really speaks volumes, too, because that's another comedic actor who I just adore and who I think is making some really fun choices with his career. So I'm excited to see what they do at this next step now.
Question here is, guys, what do you think about the return of Rick Moranis coming back for Shrunk and the fact that apparently, according to Deadline, is going to be a theatrical release? Jump on down to the comments section below and leave us your thoughts. All right, with that down, let's move on to our fourth main topic today. And our fourth main topic today gets submitted to us by Amir Hassan, who writes, On your last show, you talked about Margot Robbie joining the new David O. Russell movie with Christian Bale, which is just fantastic and enough to get me super excited. Now they're saying Michael B. Jordan has also joined the cast, with David Russell directing and Bale, Robbie, and Jordan in the cast. Is this potentially the best movie in development at the moment? All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yes, if for those of you who did watch the show yesterday, we did talk about the fact that Margot Robbie was joining up with David O. Russell and Christian Bale in an upcoming movie. Now, of course, David Russell and Christian Bale have made a couple of movies together, one of which got Christian Bale an Academy Award. The other one got him an Academy nomination. So they have a pretty good track record together. Now you add two-time Academy Award nominee Margot Robbie to that mix. Great. How can this get better? I'll tell you how this gets better. You add Michael B. Jordan. Anyway, this is the report from the Hollywood Reporter. Michael B. Jordan is the latest A-lister to join David O. Russell's new drama. Jordan, who is coming off of starring in and producing Just Mercy, which was fantastic, by the way, if you guys hadn't seen it, will join longtime Russell collaborator Christian Bale and Oscar nominee Margot Robbie in the drama from New Regency. The project, which is set up under Regency's deal with the Fox Disney banner, will see Russell direct from his own script. Plot details are being kept under wraps on the movie, which will be Russell's return to the director's seat for the first time since 2015's Joy, starring Jennifer Lawrence. Yeah, Joy was an unfortunate kind of follow-up to a hot streak. A hot streak, not a hot streak, a hot streak that David O. Russell was on. We were talking about American Hustle, Silver Lining Playbook, The Fighter. I mean, he just ripped off these movies in a row. It was like, he could do no wrong. And then came Joy. But
I liked Joy.
Oh, did you? I'm really, Joy wasn't like it. Joy wasn't like Jupiter Ascending bad. It just was, when you were getting kind of accustomed to this glorious streak he was on.
It didn't seem like a David O. Russell film in my book.
It didn't feel like a David O. Russell film.
I enjoyed it. It was a story I wasn't familiar with. I thought Jennifer Lawrence did a wonderful job. I thought they had really interesting. The family was really interesting. It just wasn't a David O. Russell film as far as I was concerned.
By the way, I don't know.
But I really liked it.
There's this BBC show that I went down a YouTube rabbit hole for a while on these things, where they'll get into stars of different movies and they'll interview them, but then sometimes they'll play this game with each other where they have to insult each other and try to make the other laugh.
Oh yeah, I've seen.
There is one
like
where Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence, who are promoting their movie Passengers, I believe.
Oh right,
we're doing it right. So I think it was Chris Pratt had to start, and so him and Jennifer Lawrence look at each other dead serious, and Chris Pratt goes, "Why did you call it Joy?" and that was it. And that was it. Anyway,
I would never go up against Chris Pratt. I mean, first of all, I'm not that quick and I'm not that funny. I can admit that. But more so than that, Chris Pratt is so quick and so funny. Anyone who does that's like doing a rap battle with Eminem.
Oh,
like, just why would you?
Just as a side note, another one that was done, another guy you wouldn't want to go against because they did it. They were promoting Deadpool 2. It was Josh Brolin and Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, God.
And
I saw that
Ryan Reynolds is another one you don't want to go up against.
Right, exactly.
He was really... Anyway, let's get back to David O. Russell and Margot Robbie and Christian Bale. Is this the most exciting movie on the docket right now? I'm tempted to say yes. I won't say yes because I don't know what this movie's about. And I try not to get too terribly excited. I do get enthusiastic, but I try not to get too terribly excited just by hearing what actors are in it, because the people most responsible for how this movie's going to turn out will probably... Is the script any good? Like Aaron was saying, if you don't got story, you don't got a movie. But the fact that you've got David O. Russell in the director's chair, who has clearly made some incredible magic with Christian Bale already. You're adding one of the best actresses in the business right now, and you're adding another one of the best actors in the business right now. I got to tell you, I am stoked. I cannot put it up as like my top 3 or 4 most anticipated movies right now because I don't even know what the movie's about. But once I do, it is very possible that could sneak in there. And you never know. Anyway, Chris, you're hearing about this. Like right now, it's just personnel, the director, the actors and stuff like that. But so am I getting carried away with my enthusiasm, or do you get excited about this too?
I mean, I think that you're cautiously optimistic, as am I. I don't think Margot Robbie's just willy-nilly picking projects right now.
Right.
So even though the plot's under wraps to us, I'm assuming she's seen some pages and went, yeah, this is something I can be a part of. She's a very savvy businesswoman on top of being an incredible actress. It sounds like this is going to just have like this huge whiff of Oscar bait around it. So I think this is a movie we're going to be hearing a lot about. But yeah, it's kind of hard to gauge the excitement till we even know at least a log line about it.
Yeah, is it a 1600s like family thing, or is it a galactic space opera?
Or are we going to learn about like a ShamWow this time? You know, like
the creation of the ShamWow.
Yeah.
Aaron, you're hearing about this. I don't know. Where's your enthusiasm level for it?
Yeah, same. You know, you have to have a story. We got to find out what the script is. It's going to be called Amsterdam. So I don't know if that's based on the location or if that's just a working
Is that what
title.
they said? Have they come out? Have they given a title for it?
IMDb has.
Oh, cool. I hadn't seen a title for it.
Yeah.
So okay,
So
maybe that's just like a placeholder name right now.
Right. We don't know. But yes, I agree with Chris, and that's the thing that I want to say is people have certain track records. Now, yes, David O. Russell did write Joy as well as directing it, so maybe that was a passion project of his or Jennifer Lawrence's. Who knows? Or he didn't write it. Sorry. He did the story, but he didn't write the full script.
What did the Hollywood Reporter thing say? I think the Hollywood Reporter said he was David direct from his own script.
No. For Amsterdam, yes. Yeah. I apologize. For Joy, I said that he wrote that. He didn't.
Sorry, I lost train of thought. I lost track of what we were talking about there.
So yes, I do think that given his track record of writing and directing Silver Lining Playbook, I Heart Huckabees, which was also a really fun one. He has a good track record of directing great movies that he has written himself, and also piggybacking off of what Chris said about Margot Robbie being a savvy businesswoman. Christian Bale is the same way.
Yeah.
He's not gonna say thumbs up to a movie that he's not 100% invested in on a number of levels. And Michael B. Jordan, now that he is also diving into producing and has a good track record with that, I think these are three really strong actors. I'm never one to say, oh, big names, great movie, but these three together, I'm really excited to see the dynamic between them and what they do.
Okay, let me throw a number at both of you guys.
Please.
Now, he's still super young. But over under 4 years before Michael B. Jordan has an Academy Award on his mantle. 4 years. More or less than 4 years before he has one on his mantle.
Ooh. Over on it being on the mantle, under on him getting nominated. Because also,
right, that's what I was thinking. Yeah,
okay.
Because he will definitely have a nomination.
Yeah.
But let's also remember, like, a lot of times the Academy likes to nominate. Okay, now we're going to... Like, you either are the one that comes in like a Jennifer Hudson, like, kind of blows in out of nowhere, first movie gets an Academy Award because the performance is just so phenomenal, or you have like a slow build like Margot Robbie is doing. Over under Margot Robbie having one on her mantle in the next 4 years, definitely, Sorry, I'm bad at math. I don't know how this works.
Under? Less than 4 years before she wins an Oscar?
No, yes.
And less than 4 years. All right, question is, guys, how are you feeling about this upcoming David O. Russell project here? He got Christian Bale, then he got Margot Robbie, now he's got Michael B. Jordan. What do you guys think about it? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to our fifth and final main topic today. And our fifth and final main topic today gets sent in to us by Harry Y, who writes, Hi, John. Just saw the first image of Harley Quinn from the new Suicide Squad movie. I liked the look, but it got me thinking. Do you think the failure of Birds of Prey could hurt James Gunn's movie? Thanks, and bring on the filthy. All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yes, we do have our first look from the set. It's not an official press photo, so don't read too much into it. But we did get our first look here. As you can see here, here's Margot Robbie in some classic white, black, and red, which of course is kind of associated with another look for Harley Quinn. Just seeing our street, there's also a bit of footage, and we see her there with James Gunn. We also see a bit of footage that's come out of her in that outfit, just standing on a sidewalk and hailing down a cab. Nothing big to write home about. But it is really cool seeing in there because it brings up visions of this image. It brings up image, now this is not real by the way, but it brings up image of that kind of look of Harley Quinn, the white, black, and red, going back to the picture there. Of course, she's not in the jester outfit as we used to see her in the cartoon. But it's still an interesting look, and I like the look. The more interesting part of the question, though, for me, that you brought up is, could the Harley Quinn movie itself hurt James Gunn's Suicide Squad, because clearly Harley Quinn is going to be one of the centerpieces of the movie. She's going to play an important role in there. I don't think so. I don't think it's going to hurt it. And by the way, a lot of people like the Harley Quinn movie. I'm not one of them, unfortunately, but I don't think the movie's terrible either. And I certainly do like Margot Robbie in the role. I like her playing Harley Quinn. So to take her out of there where Harley Quinn doesn't have to be the centerpiece of the movie, which puts her in a much lower pressure position for the character, because you're not expecting now the character to carry everything in the movie. And, to put it back into an ensemble, because what they did with the Harley Quinn in an ensemble before, I really thought Harley Quinn stood out when she was a part of an ensemble as a character. So I think that's great. So, no, at the end of the day, I don't think so. Look, if Harley Quinn had put out 3 movies in a row now, and they were all bad, and they all tanked at the box office, could that maybe hurt the upcoming Suicide Squad movie? Yeah, maybe. But I still think people, despite the fact that it's not doing great at the box office, people like Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. So putting her in this, I think, is a good move. Aaron, you had a chance to see the picture. You had a chance to, see what's going on here. Number one, what do you think about the image, which isn't much to go on, but what do you think about the image? And then number two, do you think the struggles, let's say, of Harley Quinn at the box office, could that potentially hurt the upcoming James Gunn Suicide Squad movie?
Well, Margot Robbie's interpretation of Harley has really opened the door for whatever she wants to wear. And this could, this could be one blip in the movie. She could say, this is my new look for the whole, we don't know exactly how this particular look is going to be used throughout the film. So I say Harley can wear whatever she wants and get away with it at this point. She's kind of created that dynamic about the character that just expect the unexpected. So that's my thought on the costume or the wardrobe, excuse me. As far as the, I agree with you. Margot Robbie was not the issue with the film. The film, in my view, was just trying to be too many things.
Talk about the Harley Quinn film.
The Harley Quinn, excuse me, or the Birds of Prey, or the fantabulous emancipation of oneness.
Which they now apparently have renamed Harley Quinn Birds of Prey.
Well, do you know why they're doing that? Is they're doing that
because nobody knows who the Birds of Prey are.
Right, and people are like, I want to see the Harley Quinn movie, and they're like looking for it, and they can't find it, apparently, is one report that I read it, which,
a side note to that, to what you're saying, I remember watching... I can't remember if it was Monday Night Football. It was one of the playoff football games for a couple weeks, and one of the sponsors of the broadcast was the Harley Quinn movie. And I realized for the entire show, they never once called it Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation 1 Harley Quinn. They called it Harley Quinn Birds of Prey. Right. That's what they called it. And I remember bringing that up on Twitter saying, did anybody else notice? And this was a few weeks ago. Mm-hmm. Like, did anybody else notice that? Because I think they knew the football audience, if they were going to know anybody in that movie, it was Harley Quinn. And now the online ticket sellers have all changed the name of the movie to Harley Quinn Birds of Prey. Too little too late. But anyway, I'm sorry I interrupted.
No,
please continue.
That's okay. Well, but also, let's face facts. It was an R-rated movie, and they were trying to attract, it needed to be R-rated because of Harley and like everything that was going to happen. But I don't think the R rating helped it. I don't think Oscar weekend, when people were like, oh my God, 1917 is going to win. So people are, 1917's numbers did really, really well over Oscar weekend. Doesn't really matter. The point being, they ultimately, the people who make the decisions, the puppet masters as they may be, they see value here. And I think that they also go, all right, well, maybe we were trying to tell too much of a story. For my money, I would have liked to see a Harley Quinn film with little dustings of the potential Birds of Prey, and then allow the birds to fly in their own. I wanted to see more of Huntress, but this is not a review of Birds of Prey. We did that last week. Sorry. Just had to touch on that. But I think that the nuts and bolts of the Harley movie were there. It just was a little discombobulated. So anyone can look at that and go, okay, well, Harley is not a bad character. The movie overall didn't do what we wanted it to do, but that doesn't necessarily detract from Margot Robbie, her performance, her how people want to see her, or her involvement in Suicide Squad. And I agree with you. If you put her into the ensemble, the rest of the Suicide Squad, she shines.
Can I ask you a question to follow up on something you said? You mentioned that it kind of had to be rated R, the Harley Quinn movie, and we're spending too much time. And somebody brought that up the other day, and as I think back on the movie, I thought, that movie could have been PG-13.
Yeah, I retract, and my initial, as it was coming out of my mouth, I was also thinking like, did it though? No. Yeah, it could have easily been PG-13 because, as we know, as long as you don't show a nipple or butt crack, you can kill as many people as you want in the most horrific ways you want to, and still get a PG-13
and just not
rating.
have too many F-bombs. I feel like if they had taken out like 3 F-bombs, if they took a 3 F, it would have been a PG-13 film.
Yeah, if they had just adjusted the language. And it's a very interesting choice why they decided to go for the R on that, knowing that they would lose money
Probably because
of it.
they thought it would make them look cool. Look, guys, look, kiddies.
You know what doesn't
R-rated.
look cool?
I don't know.
Not making a lot of money.
Yeah, that's true.
What looks cool is making a lot of money.
That looks cool.
That looks really cool.
Chris, as somebody who knows a lot about making a lot of money and looking cool, what do you think?
That's
Both
right.
of those things.
What do you think about? What do you think about, number one, the look of the character, and do you think that what's going on at the box office with the Harley Quinn movie could have negative implications with the Suicide Squad?
Well, first of all, the look, the very limited look we get from Suicide Squad, the latest one, I'm really into. I like the black and red coloring. It does harken back to, Mad Love, to the animated series, to some of the New 52 looks. I think that's all great, and you guys kind of nailed it too. Her looks are going to fluctuate. This is just one little glimpse of her. But what I'm seeing, I like. And also, Margot Robbie's one of the most beautiful women on earth. Paint her skin white, put her hair all weird, she's still going to look like a babe. I'm pumped about how she's looking. And I think James Gunn is going to do a really great job with Suicide Squad. I don't think Birds of Prey is particularly going to affect how people view her or that film. Everyone already really associates Margot Robbie with Harley Quinn.
Right.
Just, if you're not a comic book person, that's just something that is in your head. Oh, that's the character that Margot Robbie plays. And she does it with aplomb. I mean, she does such a good job in this. She was the standout of Suicide Squad, which wasn't very hard in that first film to be the shining star. But she does a great job, and she was one of the highlights and kept me watching through it, as hard as that was. I am also, I gotta admit, guys, I'm a fake geek girl. I haven't seen Birds of Prey yet. I have been up to my nose in Sonic material for work, so I haven't seen anything
I honestly don't
from
think
this.
you're missing all that much yet. But
It's a fun movie.
I'm excited about
Well,
it.
I think
there's
that
moments of fun.
Here's the thing: it's a fun
I'll give it
movie.
that.
It's got some fun fight scenes. They do get a little redundant. I'm not gonna lie, but there's some really fun moments. If you go in, I think knowing it's going to be a little all over the place, knowing that the story is a little discombobulated, and I think John and I also, the problem is we went in, well, I went in, you had your expectations a little bit lower, you weren't I went in going, oh my God, this movie is going to be awesome. Margot Robbie can do no wrong. She's producing it. And also so many of the people online had given such high praise for it.
Yeah, we heard some
So
really, really big
we heard
pops
some
from
really
it,
great
yeah.
things.
Absolutely.
Because I had low expectations in that I didn't think it was going to be an incredible filmmaking masterpiece, but I figured, you know what, this is going to be fun. And it was fun. The problem is I was then like, oh shit, this is a really good movie from what people are saying. This is well put together, well constructed. That's where the problem is the construction.
Not so
Okay.
much.
But it was decorated really, really nice.
Going back to Chris, something you said about Margot Robbie being one of the most beautiful women on the planet. Have either of you guys seen the Matt Schatt Saturday Night Live sketch with Margot Robbie?
No.
I don't know.
Oh, if any of you guys...
I'm assuming when you say Matt Schatt, it's something like the sweaty balls of Alec Baldwin.
No, it's the basic premise. It's a married couple and God's mistress. That's all you have to... For those of you who've seen the sketch, you know what that means. God's mistress. If you guys, I highly encourage you, if you've not seen the Margot Robbie Saturday Night Live sketch, Matt Schatt, if you've seen it, you're laughing at your computer
So that's what I
monitors
should Google
right
instead
now.
of God's Mistress?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Margot Robbie, Matt Schatt.
Search
Did you
History's gonna be
ever
great.
hear? Did you ever hear about Sleep No More, the interactive theater experience in New
No.
York? So very.
I want you to think about what you just asked me. Have you ever heard about the interactive theater experience in New York?
No, it was
No.
a really, really big
Oh,
thing.
was
Like
it?
everybody was going because it was loosely based on. Well, it was based on the story of Macbeth. So if you're familiar with that, then you understand. But essentially, you have to go into this elevator, and you have to be there at a certain time. You have to go into this elevator, and then you're all given. Everyone's given masks, and you walk around. It's basically they turned this huge building into a house, and there were rooms everywhere, and every room was different. And you just walk around, and there's hired actors that are acting, and they're saying these, they're interacting with each other, and they interact with you as the audience, and like it was crazy. And you can chase after actors. I chased one actor up 3 flights of stairs before I lost him. It was crazy, but very, very cool. And Margot and I were working on Pan Am at the time, so we went to dinner. Her family was in town, and we went to dinner, and then we went to see Sleep No More. And one of the actors, I think, had seen her, and this was like she wasn't Margot Robbie at the time.
Right. She wasn't super famous yet.
Right. But you sometimes get like a one-on-one experience where one of the actors will have a one-on-one with you. And after the whole thing, she was like, "Oh my God, I got a one-on-one." And I was like, of course you did. Like, they probably see who's walking in, and they're like, somebody actors was like, that's the girl. I want a one-on-one with her, and just had this really cool experience. And so I was like, oh, wow. So that's what it happens when you look like
Theater
Margot
makes me
Robbie.
wear a mask. I think I'm getting into an Eyes Wide Shut situation.
They were kind of eyes wide shut masks.
That
But
could be a good. That could be a good or a bad thing.
Google it.
depending on- Google it.
I would love for it to come to Los Angeles.
All right, guys. Question is, what do you think about, number one, the look of the Margot Robbie thing, and do you maybe feel that the struggles of Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey, might affect how people are looking forward to Suicide Squad, James Gunn's Suicide Squad? I personally don't think so. We don't think so, but maybe you do. Jump into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With all that down and out of the way, we're going to move on to the live questions. Well, semi-live questions. Before, we couldn't do the show live earlier today. A bunch of you guys had already sent in questions, so we're going to get to all those. But before we're due, we're going to take a short break, so hang tight. You're watching this pre-recorded, so you can probably skip through the break if you want, but we are going to take a short break. So hang tight, guys, and we will be right back. are back. Thank you guys for your patience and indulgence as we took a little bit of a break there. Of course, Aaron and Chris they have other things they had to do today, so they're out the door, but it's still you and me, and we're going to get through the live questions that got sent in earlier. So let's jump right over to it. We're going to get things started here with the nerd Aaron, who writes, I mean the perception of the Academy, not the reality. I do admit popular movies is a muddled term. Too bad 255 characters isn't enough to talk about it properly, or even the genre ghettos, which is also a perceived problem. So basically, on yesterday's show, Nerd Aaron had sent in a question about, is there the perception that the Oscars don't like popular movies? To which I said, well, the facts kind of say otherwise. They have nominated many popular movies, including this year. Joker got a lot of Oscar nominations, and it was $1 billion film, maybe one of the most popular films of the year. But I guess Nerd Aaron was kind of just trying to clarify what he meant by that. No problem, Nerd Aaron. All right, Nerd Aaron also writes, Harley is in Gotham. She would be Public Enemy. Pick a number. That Montoya was the only cop actively after Harley showed how pathetic the police were, but even they might get set off if one of those crooks takes out one of their own. We're talking about something that happened in a trailer. I disagree. I think that was a really big flaw of the movie. A really, really big flaw of the movie, because we forget that Harley Quinn is an escapee from a top maximum security federal program and penitentiary. The entire law enforcement community would be after her. And then we go into Harley Quinn. See, she's just walking around the streets and she goes to nightclubs and everything like that. And it was to me, one of the big logic problems of the movie, but that's just me. All right, 50 Shades of Geek writes, Why Ketchup on Eggs is Evil, a documentary by John Campea, produced by Ass on Hardwood. Yeah, everybody gives me a hard time about that, but man, the whole idea of ketchup on eggs just drives me crazy. All right, Jimmy George writes, Swamp Thing 2019 Physical Media Week. Despite all the drama, canceled episodes, and abrupt ending, Swamp Thing was one of my top 3 favorite shows of 2019. Bummer the project is probably dead in the swamp. Yeah, we're probably not going to see it again. Although it was interesting that in Crisis on Infinite Earths, we did get a quick glimpse of Swamp Thing. Now, that was probably just they took footage that already existed and did it and put it in there just for fun. I don't know if it actually has any long-term meaning. But I decided not to even watch Swamp Thing because the first episode aired, and then they immediately announced that they were canceling the show after one episode. And I just remember that kind of flipped a switch in my brain of like, well, why would I bother watching it then? What's the point in me even trying to watch it? So I really didn't bother. Until a couple of weeks ago, we had a bunch of people over and we started watching a few episodes of Swamp Thing. I didn't get all the way through it yet, but it's a really good show. I don't know that I would call it top 3 myself personally or anything like that, but it was actually really solid. And it just kind of adds to the shame that it isn't going to be continued on. I mean, who knows? Maybe it'll find new life. Maybe once HBO Max launches, who knows? But it would be nice to see it get another chance. All right, Sheena writes, thanks for your great videos and insightful points of view on subjects. Oh, thank you so much, Sheena. And thank you for being part of our film fan community. I appreciate that very much. How nice. All right, Chris Parker writes, 1 of 2. So I saw Birds of Prey strike through Harley Quinn and found myself fighting sleep for most of it. The action was the only highlight for me. Aside from boring story and weak characterization, their biggest mistake was making it R. I have a 10-year-old daughter, and she and all of her friends love Harley. They all dressed up as her for Halloween. And guess what? None of them can go see the movie. And for what? That deluge of F-bombs, bizarre decision. I agree, it was a bizarre decision. Now look, when you watch the Harley Quinn animated series, that's R-rated. Like, if you're going to be R-rated, be R-rated. If you're getting the R rating anyway, take full advantage of what you can do then with the R. If you really want to be bonkers and go crazy and all that kind of stuff, like they want to do with Harley Quinn, and your movie's going to be R-rated anyway, why not embrace that? It's a discussion that Aaron and I touched upon a little bit earlier, but it is a discussion that's been going on about what was the point of having it R-rated? It didn't need to be R-rated. Now, yes, there's one particular scene where something kind of gruesome happens, but I've seen worse on television shows. And they didn't go too graphic. Like, for those of you who saw the movie, you know what I'm talking about. We're talking about the faces, right? They didn't actually even go very graphic. I still really believe this movie easily could have been a PG-13 movie. Now, I don't know that it's still the movie you'd want to take a 10-year-old girl to. I mean, I don't know. It depends on how you're approaching it. But again, it's still a crazy, odd decision. Like, you wanted it to be R, but you didn't make it R. So I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird, Chris. I agree with you. All right, 50 Shades of Geek writes, I just want to clarify, 50 Shades, enough of this Conroy Hamill thing, please. I love Hamill and Conroy in every version they played their characters, direct-to-video, video games, and other things, not just the animated series. I love Howard the Duck movie, too. Glad to see I'm not the only one. So what that is in reference to is somebody on yesterday's show wrote in about their love of the Howard the Duck character and could we ever see Howard the Duck again? Now, I confess I'm not a big Howard the Duck fan, and I did also point out, but hey, Howard the Duck was in Endgame. It's true. Look it up. But ever since James Gunn reintroduced the character, I think it adds some possibilities. Well, at least I think at the moment, when James Gunn introduced Howard the Duck in Guardians of the Galaxy, I remember there was some talk about maybe some people were looking in the studio system about maybe trying to launch another Howard the Duck. Never actually happened. I'm perfectly fine that it didn't happen, but like yourself, 50 Shades, there are a lot of people who really do love Howard the Duck. All right, Nora L. writes, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Bong Joon-ho's translator, Sharon Choi, got to speak on the Oscars stage during this year's broadcast more than everyone else there, even more than Bong Joon-ho himself. That's pretty amazing. Well, I mean, again, Bong Joon-ho's English is, I mean, look, how many languages can you speak, right? So him speaking a second language, I think, is a little bit of a struggle, as it would be for any of us. But Bong Joon-ho, I mean, he was on the stage 4 times. He won 4 Oscars. So yeah, and apparently, I think Robert was pointing out to me that Sharon Choi is herself a director as well. So that's pretty cool experience for her being up there. All right. Ryan Lohner writes, I saw Birds of Prey with my girlfriend and thought it was okay. I expected it to be shit, but thankfully it was carried by some badass Margot, Journey Mew fight scenes, Mary Elizabeth Winstead. That said, I'm getting really sick of femoids like Amber Heard and Brie Larson ruining Hollywood. I'm not even going to get in. That's stupid. Seth Bain writes, hey, John, have you seen BoJack Horseman? Just saw the final season, and holy cow, it may just be my favorite show. Apart from a semi-slow start, the show is a masterful balancing act of laugh-out-loud comedy and intense, heart-wrenching pathos. I never have. You know what's funny? Our friend Kaori, Ann and I, our good friend Corey, she has been trying to get both me and Ann to watch BoJack Horseman for a long time. She's been trying to get us to watch that for a long time. So I might have to do it at some point, but it's not high on my list. It keeps getting knocked down on my list. But I keep hearing from people who watch the show, they really, really enjoy it. So I might have to try to give that a shot at some point. All right, Edgar Navarro writes, so if the rumor that Christian Bale is playing a villain in Thor Love and Thunder is true, I'm going to throw it out there that my guess is he's playing Noob Master 69. I mean, look, I have heard nothing to contradict the reports either. It does look like Christian Bale is going to be a part of it. And, Rob and I went through the other day a number of the characters that we feel he could possibly be. But wouldn't it be kind of funny if he indeed was actually Noob Master 69? That would be kind of funny. I would be into that. I'd be totally into it. All right, Eric C. writes, your comments to a viewer's Birds of Prey tip on the negativity of males may be a bit harsh. I don't think they were angry at all that all the villains were males, but that overall the males were just terrible people. Just an observation. It didn't hurt my viewing experience. I disagree because, listen, again, if you look at any movie other than the heroes and their main allies, you have all the villains. And in most of these classic action films, all the villains are guys. Go back to Arnold's movies. Go back to Sly's movies or Jean-Claude Van Damme's movies. Most of the time, all the villains are guys. And most of the people in the movie are villains other than the hero and their core allies, right? So we look at those movies and we don't go, this movie's bashing on men because all the bad guys are men. Everybody other than the hero and their close friends are all jerks. Well, yeah, because they're the villains. But then we come into a Birds of Prey and it's like a lot of other action films, all the villains are guys other than the heroes and their close associates. And they were all men. But suddenly now that's man bashing. I just think I just think that is a weak way to look at it. I think it's a weak way to look at it. Anyway, John Weiner writes, it's my birthday, JC. Happy birthday, Johnny. I turned 21 today, going to celebrate with my friends and family. I'm legal, but I'm not into drinks, but will toast to it. Well, first of all, happy birthday to you, man, because, in Canada, I keep getting thrown off when I hear people turning 21 and saying, I get to drink now. It's like, oh, yeah, because in Canada, all you got to be is 19. Anyway, I don't drink either, so I will, along with you, virtually raise a toast to you. Happy birthday, Johnny. May you have a great day and a great year ahead of you, my friend. All right, Michael Calkins writes, sends in a really large, thank you so much for supporting the channel on that level. And if there's a question in here, we will answer your question now, but also in its own standalone video in a couple of weeks. Keep your eyes open for that. All right, Michael writes, hey, John. With all the controversy about the sequel trilogy, my brother Tony and I decided to make a video to poke fun about all the arguing. It'd be cool if you check it out. What do you think makes a perfect Star Wars film? Well, I appreciate that. Thank you for sharing that. Just so you know, Michael, I get sent a lot of messages every day asking me to go check out their videos or to go read their scripts and all that kind of stuff. And I just have a policy that I can't do that, because if I do it for some people, then it would be disrespectful to the others that I don't do it. And I simply don't have time to do that. And like I said, I feel like if I did that for some people, then I would be disrespecting the people that I don't do it for. But good on you and your brother for making something like that and getting involved and adding your voice to the conversation by jumping on YouTube to throw that stuff out there. And you just shared it here so other people can see it. So if they want to go check it out, they can too. So good on you, man. All right. Draco Eris writes, The Breakfast Club turns 35 this Saturday. I like how it's a comedy, but it's so much more than that. But it's way more than that. It has something important to say. What's your favorite scene from the movie? I mean, Breakfast Club is just one of those kind of pinnacle. It represented an entire era. And, you can look at it today and maybe see how it might be a fair criticism to look at the movie today and say maybe it oversimplified some high school archetypes. Because really, that's what the movie is. The movie is each one of the characters was the embodiment and maybe an oversimplification of an archetype. But once you get into the movie, these oversimplified archetypes, you start to realize they each have their own individual story and their own individual issues and struggles and things like that, and what they wrestle with and what their fears are and all that kind of stuff. And it's just a special movie. Whether it's, ending with Judd going out and doing the big fist pump or whatever. I mean, there's just so much good parts. I don't know that I can pick out off the top of my head what a favorite moment of the movie is. But if you have never seen Breakfast Club, if you have never, whether it was before your time or what have you, if you haven't seen Breakfast Club, take Draco's advice here. Do check it out. It's a wonderful movie that surprisingly stands up. It is an out-of-date movie that still yet surprisingly stands up. So don't you forget about me. Yeah, go and check that out. Go and check that out. Thanks a lot for that, man. All right, 50 Shades writes. Okay, going to move on from that. Timbula the Spider Monkey writes, are there any film franchises you consider yourself a fan of, even though you don't like that many of the films? I would call myself a fan of Hellraiser, but only like, or should I say, love the first two movies. That's an interesting question. I don't know. I'm a fan of the franchise, but I really don't like much of the franchise. Man. I mean, there's very few franchises that I love everything that's in the franchise. But are there franchises I really like where I like a distinct minority of the stuff in it? I don't know that I do. Because, for instance, I do like the first Hellraiser movie, but I didn't really like any of the others, and so I don't know that I call myself a fan of the franchise. I like a couple of the Friday the 13th movies very much, but most of them were just atrocious, and so I don't really consider myself a fan of the Friday the 13th franchise in general. So I don't know that it's an interesting question, Timbula, but I don't think I've got one, at least not off the top of my head. Not off the top of my head. All right, Suthius writes, All right. Over under 40%. We'll see Sif again in Thor 4. Way under 40%. Way under. I would actually put it, I'm not going to say it's impossible, but I would put that actually under 10%. Suthius writes, I love my time travel, but the time machine, yeesh. Yeah, that movie wasn't so hot. And I remember I was all excited for it because it was kind of like, it was this, when it came out, when did it come out? Early 2000s, late 1990s? Anyway, when it came out, it just looked really appealing. And I think Guy Pearce was in it. But yeah, it was a yeesh. 50 Shades of Geek writes, where I lost it. Where it goes? Oh, yeah, there we go. Over under 45%. Christian Bale would say, oh, good for you in Thor 4. Why? Because Taika Waititi, that's right. I'm going to go under. I don't think that's something Christian Bale wants to revisit. Although, big props to Christian Bale if he gets into Thor 4 and does do that line. If he pokes fun at himself and is willing to kind of be the butt of the joke on that, I would give him mad props for that. But I think the chances are well under 45% on that. All right, Anthony Lucalano writes, I like the trailer for The French Dispatch so much I ended up buying all of Wes Anderson's other films the following morning after watching the trailer several times in a row. Dude, that is probably the highest possible compliment that you can pay a trailer. That the trailer didn't just make me excited for one movie, it made me want to run out and buy all of that filmmaker's previous movies. I don't know that there's a higher compliment that you can pay a trailer than that, Anthony. Well said. All right, Anthony also writes, I really liked Parasite. Are there any other South Korean films you would recommend? I bought Parasite on Blu-ray and The Host on DVD. I was actually going to say The Host. The Host is another really, really good one, also by Bong Joon-ho. And again, I want to emphasize this. I said this the other day, but I want to emphasize it again. This is a movie that came out 15 years ago. Actually, no, let me look it up here. When did The Host come out? Let me just check it out here. The Host, that's the wrong Host. I think that is also The Host. Hold on a second. The Host... It's bringing up that other movie called The Host. Let's see here. There it is. 2007. Okay, so it's like a 13-year-old movie. Keep in mind when you watch it, it's a big monster movie. When you go watch it, also directed by Bong Joon-ho, who just did Parasite, keep in mind the visual effects you were watching was done by a company 13 years ago. And are they still the super best visual effects by today's standards? Maybe not. But again, when you go back and watch it, keep that in mind. Because at the time when that came out, considering especially that it wasn't a huge budget film, those of us who have an appreciation for visual effects were looking at going, oh my God, how are they pulling that off? It's really, really impressive. Anyway, Fun Overlord X writes, hey, John, will we ever get a Daddy's Home 3? I don't think so. I surprisingly like Daddy's Home, even though it looks stupid. So I was kind of excited to see the second one. The second one was not so good. So I know I don't think we're going to get Daddy's Home 3, but it's possible. Ford Hale writes, in light of Parasite's win, if any comic book movie fan wants to check out more Korean movies, I recommend Along with the Gods 1 and 2, which were shot together like Infinity War and Endgame. A character even makes an Avengers reference in one. I'm not familiar with that one. Hold a second. I want to pull that up because that sounds interesting. Along with the Gods. Let me see this. Is it called Along with the Gods, The Two Worlds, or is that the second one? Anyway, it's recent. It looks like this one came out in 2017. I like the poster. The poster's pretty cool. Of course, they're kind of wearing Matrix clothes, and that's fine. I'm not going to hold that against anybody. So the two ones were called Along with the Gods, The Two Worlds, and the second one is called Along with the Gods, The Last 49 Days. It came out in 2017 and 2018, respectively. That actually looks pretty cool. You know what? I'll bet you anything Robert Meyer Burnett has seen them. I'm going to have to ask him about that and see, because I might have to check those out. Just the poster looks really cool, so you got my attention. All right. Let's see. Russell Amador writes, hey, John. The time has finally come. The fastest little creature to ever grace the big screen has arrived, is currently being labeled as a harmless kids movie with hilarious moments throughout. I'm being dragged out to see it tonight, so wish me luck. Listen, I from people I really trust, I'm not hearing the greatest things about it. But it does have, as of this moment, 69% on Rotten Tomatoes. We're talking about Sonic. So I'm going to go out and see it tonight. I'm going to take myself out to go see it tonight. I think it looks like garbage. But then again, I've thought other things look like garbage. I mean, 90% of the time they are. But I've gone to see other things that I thought looked like garbage and ended up really liking them. Doom Patrol, Harley Quinn, not Birds of Prey, the Harley Quinn show. I mean, there have been movies that we've all thought looked terrible, and I think Sonic looks terrible. But we've all seen stuff that we thought looked terrible and then ended up really liking. And I don't know, I'm hearing some decent things I'm hearing some bad things, but I'm also hearing some pretty decent things. So I'm going to go check it out myself tonight, Russell. So here's hoping we have a good time. All right, Lee Mallinson writes, have you seen Jay and Silent Bob reboot yet? I have not. Really funny and surprisingly sweet. The Affleck cameo was great to see. Between this and The Way Back, looks like a real cathartic year for him. So no, I haven't. But yes, the Way Back. I am surprised. Like, I am a Ben Affleck fan. I have never hid that. I am a big Ben Affleck fan. And that's why I was one of the few people on the planet that was actually excited when they announced that he was going to be Batman, when everybody else was laughing about it. Anyway, he's obviously had his struggles. I am surprised how much I'm looking forward to The Way Back. I'm actually surprised how much I'm looking forward to it. The first trailer came and I thought it was really solid. Then the second trailer came and I liked it even more. And it does look like a project of catharsis for Ben Affleck. I mean, he's clearly had a lot of struggles with substance abuse, particularly alcohol. And this, on one hand, feels like maybe it hits a little too close to home, but maybe it's exactly what he needed in his life. And maybe that is allowing him to bring something to this role. I don't know. All I know, dude, is that I am far more excited about this movie than I thought I would be. And it just looks fantastic to me. All right. McKeel writes, the only Disney princess movie I've ever seen is Tangled, and it's a sweet little movie. I like Tangled. And the only animated Disney movies I've seen are Tangled, Hercules, and Up. Interesting. All were great. Don't get me wrong, I have nothing against Disney, but whenever they burst into singing, I check out. Well, I mean, listen, not everything is for everybody. And if musical numbers don't work for you, then they don't work for you. And you owe nobody any apologies for that. If that just doesn't work for you, it doesn't work. To me, I don't go out of my way saying, boy, I hope they do some song and dance numbers in this. I don't do that. But at the same time, a good song number in a movie can be really good. I mean, Frozen is a good example of that. I really do like the music in Frozen, particularly Frozen 2. So when it works great. It doesn't always work, but when it works great. But if it's not for you, it's not for you, and you don't need to apologize to anybody for that, McKeel. All right, Thanos writes, if you had to guess, how much money do you think the Russos made from Infinity War and Endgame? Really hard to say. I don't know. I really don't know. I have no idea what their contract was, or if their contract had any points attached to it. It's hard to say. A lot of directors, sometimes they'll get points on a movie. Sometimes they just get a flat rate salary. I'm not sure. But considering the movie's made like $4 billion combined, I got to imagine they made a lot. I mean, they've launched their own production company that's struggling a little bit right now, but we'll see how that goes. So it's impossible to say. All I'll do is throw out the nebulous word or phrase, a lot. They've made a lot, but I couldn't even begin to venture because I don't know what the details of their contract was. All right. James Lucas writes, John, just saw Ford v Ferrari. It was great. Thought Bale gave an Oscar nom-worthy performance. He has become one of my favorites. Love the filth. Keep bringing it. Listen, dude, I've been talking about, even though it got a Best Picture nomination, I still don't think Ford v Ferrari got the love it deserved. That movie is fantastic. And I'll tell you what, and I said this before, I'll say it again, as great as Christian Bale is in this movie, and he is great, Christian Bale is fantastic in this movie, I thought Matt Damon was even a little bit better. And I thought the two of them, because, when I first heard they were going to be in this movie together, I wondered if their styles, if they would have a good chemistry together on screen. I wasn't sure that they would. but they were able to pull off this chemistry together that made me buy into the characters and buy into that relationship. And I even thought Matt Damon was a little bit better. But not to take anything away from Christian Bale, because he was stunning, and I completely agree. I thought it was, I thought it was an Oscar nomination worthy performance. I really do. So I'm glad you saw it, and I'm glad you liked it, James. All right. Tyler Yeats writes, gonna meet Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum at a convention in VA in a few weeks. So excited. Have a good day. Dude, that is one of the cool things about conventions and stuff like that, is that you get an opportunity to in person meet some of these people you've loved watching on the screen. I think that's wonderful. I really do. I think that's great. And one of the things that I look forward to the most when I go to these things. So I hope you have a really good time, man. And from everything I've heard, these are two really good guys to meet. So I hope you enjoy yourself, my friend. All right. McKeel writes, oh, I just watched The Lion King, the 2019 version, a couple of days ago also. I tried the older ones, but I always thought they were stupid, and the singing took me out of the movie. Don't know what kind of sorcery Favreau used, but for some reason I loved it. Well, listen, I also loved... You and me are in rare company, because you and I both love the 2019 Jon Favreau Lion King. I think it's fantastic. Now, the difference between you and me, though, is that I think the animated one is even better. Actually, it's my all-time favorite animated film. The original Lion King is my all-time favorite animated movie. To this day, still is. I don't know if it'll ever be replaced as that. That is a movie where, to me, the songs really added to the movie. But again... if you're somebody that stuff doesn't click with you and the musical numbers takes you out of something, then that's your experience with the movies. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm glad you like the new one, because I loved it too. I don't care what anybody else says. I love that new Lion King. Anyway, Jake C. writes, hey, John, love the show. Thank you so much, Jake C. What's your favorite and least favorite movie you've worked on? The One, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, etc. I would say... So what Jake is referring to is that I used to work for a visual effects company years and years and years ago. I did a little bit of visual effects, very little, bit of visual effects work, but I was mostly like more an administrator. I was a client services representative. So I would be a go-between between the clients and the artists, right? But I would also have to produce some stuff on my own too. So I'd say my favorite thing that we as a company worked on, not me, but we as a company worked on, is probably Sin City. That's probably the one my favorite thing that our company worked on. Again, I did none of the actual visual effects work or compositing or anything when it came to the major motion pictures projects. The only time I ever did any of that work was when we had smaller projects like local commercials and things like that, and our artists were too busy working on other stuff. Then I would get involved and do that stuff like for commercials. But for the real motion pictures, I never did any of the real work. I was always, again, I was a client services guy. I was the go-between. I helped administratively and all that kind of stuff. But the movie that we as a company worked on that I liked the most was Sin City. All right. Star Wars Rocks writes, wait a minute. Where'd I go here? Oh, there we go. Wait a minute. Did I miss something? Since when are Disney doing a live action version of Aladdin and the King of Thieves? I don't know that they have said it's going to be King of Thieves. I believe they said that's still being kept under wraps as far as I know. So right now, all we know is that they're doing another one. That could be one of the stories they do, but apparently it's something completely brand new. So, or maybe they do go into something like that. I'm not sure, but anything you see right now saying which story it'll be, I think that's just speculation. But I mean, who knows? Anything's possible. All right. Jacob Silvers writes, I work at a movie theater, and last night I went to an early employee screening of Sonic the Hedgehog, and I thought it was pretty good. A very charming and sweet relationship between Sonic and the human boy. Jim Carrey is great. Well, I hope so. Jim Carrey, good Canadian kid. I even liked him. Not everybody loved the incredible Burt Wonderstone with Steve Carell. But Jim Carrey was in that movie, and I thought Jim Carrey was awesome in that movie. So if there's anything I'm looking forward to tonight, Jacob, when I drag myself over to go see Sonic tonight, if there's any element that I'm actually looking forward to, it will probably be looking forward to seeing Jim Carrey in the movie. So that's probably one part I'm looking forward to. All right, Jar Jar Binks just sends in a really huge super chat to be supportive. Thank you so much. That's really generous, and you didn't even throw in a question. Thank you so much for that, man. We really appreciate that. All right, and the final message today comes to us from Jock Cop, who also sends in a really large super chat. Thank you so much for the support. We appreciate that around here. Hey, man, just want you to know, took your often said advice of stop talking about what you want to do and go do it. Signed up for drama school and took my first acting class, and I'm loving it. Thanks for the great show you put in every day. Aw, thank you so much. And first of all, dude, that is always the biggest obstacle. I find that is always the biggest obstacle. Just getting off your ass and doing it. Too many people talk about the things they want to do and they dream and all that, but they never do anything. Too many people sit on their ass, feel entitled, and are just wait for somebody to come along and hand them their things. Hand them their opportunity, hand them their goals, hand them their dreams, and they don't actually want to put in the work to actually get off your ass and go start doing something about it. People just want things handed to them today. So listen, you've got some goals and dreams and whatever. You did the best thing you can do, which is you got off your ass and you went and actually did something. Now, maybe it'll work and maybe it won't, whatever, but you're doing something. And that's awesome, Jock Cop. So I'm glad to hear that. And thanks for sharing that story and thanks for supporting the channel on that level. All right, guys, that will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. For those of you who tuned in earlier hoping to see the show live, again, our apologies. YouTube was not accepting live connections at the time, and I still don't know why. Hopefully that'll all be fixing up and running for tomorrow's show, when we've got Robert Meyer Burnett and Aaron Cummings in here tomorrow to talk about stuff. So hopefully all that stuff will be fixed by then. A special thanks to, of course, Chris and Aaron for being here. Thank you to all of you guys for making the show part of your day. And a special thanks to all of you who sent in questions, not just because you gave us great fun things to talk about, but also secondly, and probably most importantly, you supported the channel while you were doing it. And all of us here at the John Campea Show, thank you so much for that. All right, guys, that'll do it for me for now. Thanks a lot for being here. My name is John Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.